Hello everybody. Today we will be talking about pretty much what are going to be the banners that you should look out for that are going to come out from the Grand Live all the way until the release of Grand Masters. This is going to be a video that is going to be talking about the frontrunners, pace chasers, late searchers, and end closers. So it will be a very long video. However, there will be timestamps for your strategy of your choice, and of course, you should take this as a consideration. This is not a video where, oh, you should pull this, you should pull that. Everybody has their own priorities. However, some banners are going to be universally accepted to be pulled on. Before we start the video, however, consider subscribing. I usually do this at the end of the video, but considering how long this video is going to be, I think it will be better to put it in the first part of the video. Next up, however, is that I think Ancestors is technically a borrow card, even though it's a scenario link card that you will have to use for the Grandmaster scenario. The fact that it only has 10 free pulls, and it's pretty much going to be very hard to pull for most people because Mejiro Ramanowit is going to be the banner before it. If you have super quick at 3 limit break or higher, technically you can just borrow the Ancestors card and move on. It's very expensive again to just pull for the Ancestors card, and I will not recommend it for a lot of the people. Let's start with frontrunners, because of course frontrunners, pace chasers, late searchers, and end closers, we will follow that order. You have 5 banners that you could consider as a frontrunner, that being Daiwa Scarlet Christmas, Valentine Anya's Fusion, New Year Kita-san Black, Ashton Machan, and Dakato Helios. As for the SSR cards, it is going to be pretty much Measure Palmer Stamina and Helios Speed, and of course Measure Romano. Let's start off with the characters. First off, we have Ashton Machan. She's going to be coming out later this month. This is going to be the first Sprinter Uma that is focused on being a frontrunner, which of course is very good because for the most part, Sprint does not really have that much viable front options, so having a front runner that can consistently run sprint tracks is very effective. Her unique skill is called Silent Letter. What it is that if you are second or first place, if there is 400 meters or less that is remaining on the track, if you are an overtake target for 1 second, you get 0.3 acceleration and 0.25 target speed increase for 5 seconds, which makes this unique skill actually a decent unique skill, which of course is something that you want on a frontrunner because of that acceleration part. It's not enough for angling and scheming to only carry you for that acceleration part. As for her skills, she has sprint corners, taking the lead, groundwork, and in high spirits. In high spirits is the gold version of Has Light as a Feather. What it is that it's pretty much a mid-game skill that gives you 0.35 target speed increase. We all know taking the lead and groundwork and sprint corners, which of course are 3 good skills for Ashton Machan. So overall, I think Ashton Machan is a decent Uma. Next up, we have Christmas Daiwa Scarlet and Christmas Vodka. This is going to be going over Christmas Daiwa, however. Christmas Daiwa Scarlet is very interesting. She has 20% speed growth and 10% width growth, which is a very powerful growth, by the way. Her unique skill is a very good unique skill, where if there is somebody that is behind her for 1 second, provided that she is on straight, at the second half of the race, if she is first, then she can get 0.35 target speed increase for 6 seconds. Otherwise, she has a different way to procure unique skill, where if she is on a straight, provided that she is second or first, halfway throughout the track, she will get 6 seconds of 0.25 target speed increase. This is a decent unique skill, and this is going to be effective in long distance tracks, medium distance tracks, and sometimes even miles. As for her skills, she has featured act, long straightaways, long corners, which means that she has pretty much the long, like generic skills, so you only need to worry about front runner corners and front runner straightaways. And she has Restless, which of course is very effective because it's a uphill recovery skill, and gold recovery skills are also very nice to have on an Uma. And then she has a skill called Can't Even Catch My Shadow. What this skill is pretty much the gold version of Firm Resolve. Firm Resolve is a very strong skill because what it is that if you are on the final straight, if you are first place, there is an Uma that is behind you for 1 second, you get 2.4 seconds of 0.45 target speed increase. The common version, that being Firm Resolve, is 0.25, which is about as much as Lights of Vidal Valley. So of course this skill is very strong, and the gold version of course is also very good too. Then we have New Year Kita-san Black. Kita-san Black is just very good, the New Year version. What it is very simple. Her growth rate is very broken. 10% speed, 10% power, 10% width. One of the best growth rates in the entire game. And she can run mile, medium and long very comfortably. Of course she can run sprint. Her unique skill however heavily favors you to be on a medium distance track. Her unique skill, Bring On the Bouquet. If you are on a corner in the late race, provided that there is 600 meters or less, if you are first to third place position, you get 0.35 current speed increase, which is very good compared to target speed increase where it's gradually increasing and gradually decreasing. What it is that you proc the skill, you immediately just get sent to the max speed while still increasing your acceleration. And once the skill duration is over, you instantly go back to your original value. Once this character comes out and she procs her unique skill, you will see that she lunges very fast and then she will pause. That is because of her unique skill. The acceleration part is also very good because it helps her accelerate from second to third place position if she does not get angry and scheming. That means that she is technically an Uma that can somewhat fight against somebody that gets Rod unless it's Saints guy. But again, this unique skill is very effective. If you are first place and you proc Rod alongside of this, you probably won already. Her skills are very stupid because she has taken the lead, which means that once Mihono Bourbon wet, the one with gold groundwork comes out, that means that she has gold version of both, which of course is very fun. She has dodging danger, she has groundwork innate, she has 0.6 acceleration frame 1 without needing any other card, which of course is very fun. She has escape artist, which is a very crucial skill for front runners. And then we have long corners. And she's a fast Naruma, which of course is very fun. She also has very fun mechanics, that being if you are using her for parenting, she has prudent positioning guaranteed from her secret event. She has Firm Resolve if you win the Triple Crown, and if you win the Spring Triple Crown, then you will get Spring Runner 2. That means that this Uma has prudent positioning, Firm Resolve, dodging danger, and groundwork just innate onto her kit, which is very fun. This is a very strong Uma, and to this day, her unique skill is often considered for one of the medium distance tracks, which of course means that she is a very good investment for you to pull on this character. Then we have the Kato Helios. The Kato Helios is an Uma that is going to be heavily specialized towards mile distance tracks. However, she can run every single track, which of course is very interesting because she is a very popular character. Her growth rate is 15% speed, 15% power, which are very good growth rates. Her unique skill, Hands in the Air Like You Don't Care. What it is that if you are on sprint or a mile distance track, in the second half of the mid game, if you are 5th or above, you get 6 seconds of target speed increase of a value of 0.25. This is a very good skill, and it will last for additional second for the mile and sprint. If you are on a medium distance track and a long distance track, that second goes from 6 to 5, which of course is not going to be that big of a deal because the longer this track is, the more duration that you have on your skills. Her skills are very powerful. No Looking Back is a mild distance track, which of course is very good. She has Slipstream, she has mild straightaways, and she has Changing Gears and Reckless Charge. Those two gold skills are mile exclusive tracks, and those two are very good gold skills added. She has fast loner too, like Kita-san White, which of course is very fun. But as you can clearly see, she is an Uma that is heavily geared towards running mile. She, however, is an Uma that has access to runaway. If you participate in the Arima Kinan and lose to Major Palmer in the senior class, if you have won the Yasurera Kinan and Mile Championship twice, you get the runaway skill. If you instead, however, win the Arima Kinan with the Katuhelius, you straight up get runaway for free, which of course is very good. Not for free, because she doesn't race the Yasura Kinan and the Mile Championship in her career twice. So you have to sacrifice some turns in order to get runaway. But if you win the Arima Kinan, which is a race that she has to do, you get runaway for free without needing to force turns on the Yasura Kinan and the Mile Championship. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the Kato Helios. She is a very good Uma for mile distance tracks, and I know that she is a very popular character because she is essentially just a brain rot version of an Umamusume, which of course is very fun. Finally, for the last character, we have Valentine Anies Fusion. Her unique skill is very good. She essentially just is a better version of Valentine Mihono Bourbon, without the downside of being Mihono Bourbon, where you can't use any of the Mihono Bourbon cards. This will be especially noticeable in the Grandmasters scenario, Project Lark, and moving forward until like the Onset scenario 2, where she can use the Mihono Bourbon power. So yeah, Anies Fusion is pretty much going to be a better version of Valentine Mihono Bourbon. Anyways, let's go over her distance attributes. It's very simple. She can run mile, medium, and long very comfortably. You need to put some effort to raise her sprint attributes, but it is okay. She has 14% speed, 8% wet, and 8% guts. It's a solid growth rate, but again, it's not ideal because guts is not a very big stat that you will click on a lot of the times. Let's go over her skills. It's very simple. She has groundwork, she has front runner corners, front runner savvy, and speed eater. Then she gets access to concentration, which is a very powerful skill, and she also gets access to early lead from a different card that you will bring. So that means that she will have a very good likelihood to proc gold groundwork, which of course is very nice. Front runner savvy is very good because again, you can proc groundwork very effectively from Anies Fusion. She also gets the Speed Eater, which makes her a fantastic choice in mile distance tracks. And she gets Crescent. I do not know how to spell that. Crescent Gale. This is going to be the gold version of Front Runner Corners, which is very valuable because you can hint book Front Runner Corners, which makes the single circle and double circle cheaper, and therefore will make Crescent Gale much cheaper, which of course is very good. And of course, she is a fast learner Uma, which of course is very fire because that means that pretty much in Grandmasters, the two most common front runners that you will see are going to be Anies Fusion and New Year Kita-san Black. I think Valentine Mihono Bourbon will probably start falling off because of simply the existence of Mihono Bourbon Wet. Because why not? I guess you know why I might be a little bit tilted on why it's a Mihono Bourbon card. Anyways, we have a Major Palmer card. Excuse me, there is something on the slide that I was not able to remove, so we will have to put something on that. Anyways, for the support card, that being Major Palmer and the Kato Helios, we will go over Major Palmer. Major Palmer is a card that is going to be very like niche because it gives you taking the lead. However, pretty much the meta card that is going to give you taking the lead is Mihono Bourbon Wet. Mihono Bourbon Wet in Grand Live will give you concentration. So this is going to be mostly used for an Uma like Silence Suzuka or Mihono Bourbon, who have the concentration already attached in them, and you don't need to use Mihono Bourbon Wet because that wet card gives you close to no wet. Anyways, at maximum break, she has 35 friendship bonus. She has 20% training effectiveness. She actually gives you 30 initial to your stamina and guts, which is actually something noticeable in the auto training. In the auto training, you can actually get a benefit out of these two being over 600. Sometimes you will get 3-star guts, which could be effective for a mile track or a niche strategy. And of course, the stamina at 3-star is very, very good if you get it off of an independent training Uma, which of course is very good. She has hint level 2, and she has a very high specialty priority, and of course she has a skill point bonus. So this card is actually relatively strong for auto. If you are a spender, this is actually a very, very good card for you to pull on. Her skills are actually very, very good too. She has keeping the lead, she has playtimes over, she has front runner savvy, she has moxie, final push, and growl at hint level 2, plus the additional level at like the default level. That means that the hint level is actually hint level 3, which of course is very good because at 2, like if you get Lily twice, that's capped already, which of course is very good. Her gold skill, I already talked about it. She gives you taking the lead guaranteed, and it's going to be niche because of the existence of Mihono Bourbon Wet. Pretty much the Uma that can use these cards are going to be Silence Suzuka and Valentine Mihono Bourbon, because they have concentration already on their kit, and you could slot in a different wet card instead of Mihono Bourbon Wet. She of course also gets guaranteed in front or corners on the second chain event, so of course that is going to be something very strong too. And that is it for Mitchell Palmer Stamina. Then we have the Kato Helios Speed. This is a very, very strong card, and with auto, I think this card actually has more value now, which of course is very, very interesting. This card at maximum break has 30% friendship bonus, 2 speed bonus, which is going to be slightly noticeable because it's 2 speed bonus on auto. This card also can be used on pretty much the regular career mode where you are building an ace, but this is more so a wild card. And of course, if you are pulling for this card for parenting, this card will actually have a very long lifespan. She also has 10% race bonus at maximum break. She gives you hint level 3 at maximum break and 1 skill point bonus. Her hints are actually very good, especially on mile distance tracks. She has Forerunner, she has Frontrunner Savvy, Firm Condition, Sunny Days, Mile Corners, Shifting Gears, Slipstream, Mad Dash, and Speed Eater. Mad Dash is a skill that is going to give you, I believe it was 2.7 seconds of 0.25 target speed increase as you are approaching the late race, but it consumes 0.04 stamina consumption. This skill is very risky, but if you have overstam, this skill is actually very strong. And of course you get these hints at hint level 4, which of course is very powerful. Her gold skill is going to be Perfect Spot. Perfect Spot is the gold version of Slipstream, which is very, very good because that means Slipstream will pretty much be accessible more compared to before the skill. She also actually has a chance of you getting front runner straightaways and tail held high if you win the checks, and on a high roll this card actually gives you a lot of skill points because you get 20 over here and 40 over here, that's 60, and that is 70 skill points from a chain event is actually relatively a lot for a card. That is Fukitaru SSR speed on the third chain, and you get the 77 skill points. So on a high roll, you can get a lot of skill points from this card, and keep in mind that this card also has a skill point bonus and 2 speed bonus, so it's not actually a bad card. However, this is mostly for the spender where you can just drop Kita-san Black and just go with Tokateo Wet. As an overall evaluation, this is what I would consider for pretty much the frontrunner players. Of course, you want to prioritize Mission Romano and of course New Year Kita-san Black. Those two are very very essential. However, for Kita-san Black, what you could do is that you don't pull on the banner and use your selector on her, which of course is very strong. But not everybody is going to buy that selector, so I just put that in case. Then we actually have Summon Marazinski and Fight Motion. You're mostly pulling for Summon Marazinski. Summon Marazinski is a very effective card and you want to have it at least to one limit break to do what it needs to do for the most part. However, if you are maining front runners and only front runners, I will probably recommend you try to get it to 3 limit break by the start of Grandmasters, because that hint level actually do matter a lot, and I have actually noticed this like more frequently than I was originally thinking. Of course, we have Ana's Fusion because of League of Heroes and the fact that she has concentration and a broken unique skill. She is going to be ran a lot in League of Heroes. Then we have Ashton Machan. Ashton Machan, the reason why she is actually at SR compared to most of the characters is simply because she is the only reliable front runner that you can run on sprint. And the funny thing is that pretty much the only character that actually somewhat power creeps Ashton Machan from a sprint is Ashton Machan Valentine, which is very funny. You are being power crept by yourself, and the Kato Helios is also a decent Uma. She can be ran on all tracks, but of course she is a mile specialist, and mile is somewhat annoying for frontrunners outside of specific characters. And of course we have Palmer Stamina and the Kato Helios. It's because of independent training and also the fact that you can use Helios speed on a main deck. Also measure Palmer Stamina if you are running Suzuka or running Valentine Mihono Bourbon. Unfortunately, however, for Dao Scarlet, while she is a good Uma, she is a long specialist, which is not something that you will see that often in champions meetings, which does tank her usages a bit, but she is actually a decent Uma that you could use your selector on if you are just farming for long straightaways and long corners on other Umas, because she has it innate and you double circle that and she will actually have a very high chance that you will get it on parents. You might also like Dao Scarlet, she's a very popular Uma, then you will also just use her as a selector too. But pretty much I would not recommend unless you are like a very very big Dao Scarlet enjoyer, then go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Then we have Face Scissors. They have 5 Uma banners, and as you can clearly see, one of them is commonly shared with frontrunners, being Kita-san Black, and the support cards. Support card wise, they don't really have any other option outside of Chaos Miracle, which of course is very nice because you don't really need to pay that much for now. Face Chaser, however, gets very expensive very fast in the onsen scenario and the scenario that is going to be called Design Your Island. Those two are very expensive for pace, but you can take whatever you want for now. Let's start off with Seeking the Pearl. She is actually a relatively strong Uma for sprint and mile, which of course is very good. Her growth rate is very good, being 20% wet, 10% speed, very very strong growth rate. Her unique skill is very good because if she is in the second place or below, provided that it is the last 200 meters and the difference between you and first place is 5 meters, she gets effectively triumphant pulse. Otherwise, if she is farther from 5 but she is closer than 10 meters, she will get 0.35 target speed increase, which of course is still relatively strong. Final straight skills in the home stretch are very good, especially in sprint and mile, because frontrunners do not make very big gap, unlike the strategy, unlike medium and long where they can use runaway and they can make a big gap between them and the pace chasers. Her skills are sprint straightaways, has light as a feather, unyielding spirit and firm condition has the common skills, and she has shocking flash, which is the gold version of sprint straightaways, which of course is very good. and Big Sisterly is a mile skill, which of course is very good. With the release of evolution skills, she actually is able to run both of her skills on both tracks, because the first one over here is Shocking Flash, and as you can clearly see how, which of course is very good, is that she actually can use it in mile. The same could be said on her other skill, because she is a mile skill. Now it could be ran on a sprint track, which of course is very effective, and especially because the duration on them does get increased, and this one you get current speed, which of course is very powerful. Then we have Halloween Mishidoto. Halloween Mishidoto is actually relatively funny Uma, because one of her skills is designed to be a sprint and a mile oriented skill, which of course is very funny. But Halloween Mishidoto is not a bad Uma. Halloween Mishidoto has 15% power, 15% wit, which is a very strong growth rate. I think this is probably like the second best growth rate that you can have, outside of the fact that the ones that you have speed, power, and wit. Spooky, Scary, Happy. It's a unique skill where pretty much on the last trait, like once you enter the last trait after 1 second, provided that you are first place or above, you will get 0.35 target speed increase for 5 seconds, and you will debuff 2 Umas that are ahead of you and behind you. So if you are third place position, effectively you are debuffing first, second, fourth, and fifth place position by 0.05 for 5 seconds. It's like the debuff is not really that important, but hey, it's still a debuff skill, and of course the target speed increase on the home stretch is very good, because you can also connect the dueling and you will feel the speed that Mishidoto is going to give you on that final straight. As for her skills, she has medium straightaways on the attack, which is the common version of Unstoppable, and she has right-handed. Right-handed is pretty much 3 or like 3/4 of the tracks, which is very good for Mishidoto. Here is the thing though, she has neck and neck. If we go back over to her distant attributes, mile and sprint is F and G respectively. The funny thing is, neck and neck is buffed on global. That means that pretty much she is actually very good in both of these checks. However, she can't run them that comfortably without pushing your attributes very very far to put her on mile and sprint. But neck and neck is of course a good skill on that. She can also run it on medium on long if pace chasers do not have any other acceleration. And of course she has swinging maestro, because it's Mishidoto. Like, are we joking? Anyways, swinging maestro is very good because she don't need to run the stamina creep card and can run a different card that could be relatively more niche. Then we have Zephyr. I do not know how to spell her name. This is going to be like Fukitaru. Anyways, I'm sorry. Let's go back to Pace Chasers. Her attributes are very decent, that being 10% speed, 10% wit, and 10% guts. Again, guts is not really that effective of a stat bonus, but it is what it is. She can run sprint, mile, and medium very comfortably, which of course is very good, and she can actually run dirt on them too, and that is very effective. For long distance tracks too, she can actually run them too, provided that you give her a lot of sparks for long. And since she can't, and since there is no long dirt maps, you can technically run this character on every map if she is your main Oshi. Her unique skill, Sunny Breeze, is a very interesting skill. What it is that in the second half of the race, provided that you have never been second place position, which means that this is a precondition. So from the start of the race until the second half of the race, if you have not been second place, then you can actually proc this unique skill. What it is that on the final corner second half, if you are between first place position at least 50 meters, and provided that you are exactly second place position, for 8 seconds you get 0.2 acceleration, which is a very long duration for a skill. If not, if you are if you are not second place position, you get 0.1 acceleration instead. This is more so a situational Uma, but if she procs her first trigger, she actually gets very good acceleration and she will cap her acceleration. She has mile corners and corner acceleration as her base skills, and she has changing gears and ambition breeze. Ambition breeze if you are a pace chaser, if you are second or below, provided that you are 5 meters away from first place in the mid game, you get 0.25 target speed increase. I think this could be a relatively strong skill on Zephyr, because once the second half of the race is done for her unique skill, then you can just proc the skill and get closer to that front runner at first place position. Then we have Blaze Brian. I think we all know how strong Blaze Brian is in long distance tracks. She is a very interesting Uma because of pretty much her entire identity is just running long distance tracks, and especially Ari Makina. She can run sprint, mile, medium and long. Sprint is more annoying because she is sprint F, but again if you put spark attributes you can raise it to A. Her stack growth rate is 10% speed, 10% stamina and 10% guts. The stamina is very good because of her entire identity being just running on the long distance tracks. Her unique skill, she has a precondition. If you are plugged for 2 seconds in the mid game, if you are on a long distance tracks, provided that this is going to be the late race, on the final corner, the second half of the race, on the final corner second half, if she is fourth or above, she gets 5 seconds of 0.55. 0.55 target speed increase is very strong, especially in long distance tracks where your skill duration is going to be well over like 12 seconds. So this is a very strong this unique effect to have. And if otherwise, like let's say you are not in long, her unique skill is actually still relatively free. That being in the late race and the final corner second half, if you are fourth or above, you get 5 seconds of 0.35 target speed increase, which of course is relatively good still. 0.35 target speed increase skills on a unique is still not bad, and you can actually run her on mile and medium. Her skills are spring runner and all set. All set is that if you do not have a bad start, that being late start, if you are a pace chaser and long distance track, in the mid game at a random point you will get a 0.035 stamina recovery, which essentially is Super Creek level recovery or Fantasy Grass Wonder, these types of recovery, which of course is relatively strong. Hot Pursuit is a strong skill because if you are pretty much like a proper pace chaser or a late soldier, ideally she runs as a pace, but pretty much if you have an overtake target that you are trying to take over, provided that it's the second half of the race, if you are late soldier or a pace chaser, you will get 2.4 seconds of 0.35 target speed increase, which is very effective. Her other skill being called Beast Mode, which is a very fine name by the way for a skill, at the mid game. If at any point you have been in the like 10 meters away from first place position, provided that it's 60% or more throughout the race, if the map is long distance track, if you are running a pace chaser in the late game, you will immediately get 1.2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration. If there is like an improper front runner or something, one that is not strong enough for front runner to maintain a large gap between you and Narta Brian will get pretty much insta acceleration of a 0.4, and once her acceleration wears off, she procs her unique skill and overtakes the front runner. She is very powerful, and I will highly recommend for a lot of people that are going to run Patience and you like Narta Brian to pull on Narta Brian Blaze. As for Kita-san Black, she is not actually as much of a priority for Pace Chaser in terms of pulling. If you are a player that is mainly focused on the fact that you just want to build a Pace Chaser and you are a spender, you can skip the original Kita-san Black New Year banner and just use your selector on her. Because of her unique skill and how it works, it's very effective. It's pretty much going to proc most of the time on medium distance tracks, and you will get current speed, and with current speed it's a number that will increase your speed to the cap immediately rather than gradually increasing and gradually decreasing, which of course is very powerful. As for the cards, the only card that you could consider is Chaos Miracle Guts. Chaos Miracle Guts at maximum break. Ideally, you probably just want to pull a 1 limit break for this card, by the way. 1 limit break is all you need for this card, but I'm just going to talk about it in maximum break terms. She has 30 friendship bonus, 50 mood effect, which essentially is 10% training effectiveness at great mood. She has 2 power bonus when the bond gauge is 80 or above. She has guts bonus. She has 30 initial power, so you can technically run this card on auto, which of course is going to be more on the expensive side and not really worth it. She has 5% race bonus at all limit breaks, which is very nice. She gets hint level 2 across the board, which of course is also very good, and she gets specialty priority over here. If we compare 1 limit break to maximum break, it's essentially just slightly more stats and initial power, which means that this is also a cheaper card because of what it's going to be giving you, which of course is very good for a card like this. We want cards that just need 1 limit break to be ran at pretty much most of what they offer to the table. Her hints are Pace Chaser Savvy, which of course is good for the Pace Chasers that run groundwork, sprint corners, Pace Chaser straightaways, on the attack, updrafters, and countermeasure. On the attack is very good because you are going to be running Agia's take on speed, which is going to be good because that means that Unstoppable will be cheaper. The gold skill, and that is the only reason why you are actually pulling for this card, that being neck and neck. Neck and neck, again, if you do not know what it does, it's essentially a skill that will proc in a random point in the first half of the late race, provided that you are a Pace Chaser and you get 0.4 acceleration for it. This is very effective, and this is one of the cheaper cards that you can pull for as a Pace Chaser, and I would recommend it for a lot of people to pull on this card if you are a Pace Chaser main. As an overall evaluation though, pretty much it's very simple. I think again Kita-san Black has one of the highest priorities because you can run her as a parent for Pace Chasers. Her unique skill is very good because it's first, second, and third place position, which of course is fire. Measure Romano, don't need to explain. We have Blaze Brian and Chaos Miracle. You're not forced to run Chaos Miracle, by the way, or like pool, but again, she has a lot of value for pretty much her cost. And then you have Seeking the Pearl at SR because Seeking the Pearl post evolution skills is very good Pace Chaser, and she will be a very good Pace Chaser for sprint and mile for a very long time. And then we have Mishidoto and Zephyr at R. I think Mishidoto, you can argue that she could go to SR because of this character is very easy when it comes to understanding and knowing her ceiling. One of the easier characters to understand, and her kit is very interesting. If you are a Mishidoto fan, which a lot of people are Mishidoto fans, I think she is better than the OG, and you will probably just pull on Halloween Mishidoto instead. Then we have Late Soldiers. Late Soldiers, I don't think they have a character that is like, oh, worth Nodi to pull for, or like this character, that character. Unfortunately, I do not think there is a Late Soldier that is very decent. However, for like the portion where it's Grandmasters to Project Lark, They have a character like Neo Universe, they have Summer Takeon, those types of characters. But for now, they don't really have characters that you could use as a parent or just as an ace in general, because they are pretty much released in Mega Check, Unity Cup, or URA Finale. As for the support cards, we have Daichi Ruby Power, we have of course Virgin Romano, we have Sirius, Symbiotic Chris, what the hell? Symbiotic Chris S, and we have Ashian Flash Speed. Let's start off with Daichi Ruby. You also only need one limit break to get the most out of this card, that being pretty much the skill point bonus. At max limit break, the difference between this card and one limit break is essentially just a couple of stats in Guts, but Guts is not that high of a stat that is on your priority unless you are building a niche little deck. And that is it for Daichi Ruby in terms of overall limit breaks. You only really need one limit break overall for Daichi Ruby Power. She has a lot of hits, so much in fact that I can't fit it in one screen, so I will separate it. She has Lone Wolf, which is very good because Lone Wolf is a skill that is like barely existent. Nobody really goes after this skill. You also have Gap Closer, you have Late Surger Stairways, you have Fearless and Sleek Surge. As for the debuff skills is that she actually is a very anti-front. The reason is very simple. It's because of the Kato Helios. If you do not know the story of Daichi Ruby and the Kato Helios, then I will highly recommend you try to find out the story of these two characters. And the Kato Helios is front, so she gives you pretty much hesitant front, subdue the front, and fluster the front. She does not have hint levels or hint frequency, which is very annoying. But again, hey, debuff skills on a card is very effective. She has Tether, she has Opening Gambit, and stop right there. Tether is very good because it's Dominator. Opening Gambit is a niche skill, and stop right there. I do not see much talk about this skill, and I don't think this skill is really that oh, you should have this skill. I think it's more so on the very niche aspect. The reason why you are going for this card is very simple. She has Lightning Surge. Lightning Surge is a skill that will proc if you are in a mile or sprint distance track. If you have an overtake target in the late race, provided that you are 5th or below, you will get 2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration. This is an extra acceleration, and I do not really think that Pace Chasers and Enclosers really have that much acceleration in sprint or mile. So the extra acceleration from this power card is relatively nice. However, you don't really need to pull for this card, and you can just borrow it. However, it's very similar to Kia's Miracle, where you are getting pretty much most of what you need at one limit break, which of course is very good. You want to look out for cards that only need one limit break to get most of their value, which of course is very nice. Then we have Symbiotic Crest S. This is a very interesting card, and I think for pretty much most of the free-to-play players, you don't really need to pull on this card, but again, feel free to do so. One limit break, technically you can cope with it, but at max limit break, she essentially gets 6% training effectiveness at Great Mood. That bumps the training effectiveness over here to pretty much 11%. And she does not have that high specialty priority on stamina, unlike most of the other stamina cards. So yeah, it will be very interesting card, and especially because of the gold skill. She also likes to have 3 limit break for the hint levels, especially the hint levels actually being very good for late surges. Corner recovery is very good, passing brow is very good, long straightaways is long straightaways, 6 surge is your on your left common version, late surger is corners, of course very good, 1,500,000 CC, good skill because of another uphill, fearless and scrammable. Fearless and Scrammable are going to be new skills, and Scrammable I believe is the common version of Claw Forward. Claw Forward in Japanese version was called Lose Yourself, I think lose yourself sounds a lot better as an acceleration skill, but what it is essentially very simple. In long distance tracks, provided that you are a late soldier in the last spurt, which means that if your Uma enters the late race and she is able to accelerate from the start of that late race, provided that she is 4th or below, she gets 0.4 acceleration. However, you consume 0.02 of your stamina. This skill is very good and the only reliable acceleration that late surgers had for long distance tracks. So I will highly recommend that you should look after this card for long distance tracks for Champions meetings, because again, late surgers have it very rough with acceleration for long distance tracks. Then we have Asian Flash Speed. This is actually a very interesting card, and of course this card unfortunately is one of these cards where you actually needed a maximum break, because you are getting 2 speed bonus over here, and that is very important, especially because of her friendship bonus being very low. At maximum break it's only at 20 and you get 2 speed bonus at maximum break. So I'll highly recommend that you either borrow this card, or if you are a spender, you go for maximum break on this card. This card has 2 speed bonus, 2 power bonus. She has 20 to your speed and power, so if you are using Thurston Jordan speed, you can technically use ICM Flash if you are a late soldier, because I think the stats will balance each other out and you get more skill points. And her hints are very good for late soldiers. However, let's talk about her unique effect. She gets a power bonus and a skill point bonus when the bot gauge is 80 or more, which of course is very strong effect. 2 power bonus, 2 speed bonus. If you have multiple speed cards trading together, that is a very strong effect. And of course, skill point bonus, we all know how good that is going to be. As for her skills, she has standard distance, late soldier savvy, soft step, both of late soldier corners and straightaways, which is going to be very good. She has fighter and she also has taking the chance. Her skill is going to be very effective. That is going to be sharp streak. What it is very simple. It's the gold version of late soldier straightaways, which of course is very powerful. And of course, if you get late soldier at max hints, it heavily reduces the cost of sharp streak, which is going to be something that is going to be very valuable. This card is one of these cards where it's actually very strong. However, it's probably only going to be pulled by a new player that doesn't have that much to go with, or a spender. If you are an Asian Flash enjoyer and want to maximum break her card simply because you are an Asian Flash enjoyer, there are people that just 5-star their favorite character and maximum break their cards, even though you're not going to use their card on that character. But some people are like that. This card is still very good though. But again, it's more so for the spender more than the free-to-play players. Overall evaluation though, I think this one is very explanatory. Measure Amano, highest priority. Then you have Daichi Ruby Power. Then you have Chaos Miracle and Aishian Flash, because those two more so are niche cards. Aishian Flash is your speed card for an entire scenario and then she falls off, unfortunately. But again, technically she still is a one scenario card that we had people like use Naruto Broad and Fukitaru Speed, so you can technically pull for this card if you have a lot of carrots, and you can pull on Measure Ramana too. As for the inclusive strategy, we actually have 2 banners for characters, and as you can clearly see, one of them is a card, that being Mr. CB. Mr. CB has a Uba is very strong. As for the Uma banners, let's start off with Inari 1. Inari 1 Festival version is very good. It's simply because of her growth rate being very good. Her unique skill is very good, and her gold skill is very good too. She can run mile, medium, and long. The best ones are going to be mile and long. Her growth rate is just broken. 15% speed, 10% power, 10% width, essentially what it is. So cheating Uma, that is very fire, but very strong growth rate, and it's the best one. So yeah, Idari 1 players are going to be happy with this one. Anyways, she has Rapid Gain, which is a dirt exclusive track, which of course is interesting skill. She has Eye Race Course. She has, for some reason, I can see right through you, even though that skill sucks. But she has Innate Experience, which is the gold version of Inside Scope. If you do not remember what this skill does, it's essentially at a random point on the final corner in long distance tracks, you get 0.35 target speed increase for 3 seconds. However, this skill is actually much stronger because simply of the existence of a character that is Commander Special Week. Commander Special Week unique skill condition is that you proc a skill on the final corner and pretty much Inside Scope will proc it. So when you proc Innate Experience, you will also proc Commander Special Week unique skill at the same time. And the value on the unique skill for Special Week on Ari Makinen, which is like about 2500, is going to be 0.25. With Innate Experience being 0.35 target speed increase, it will be a 0.6 target speed increase on the final corner, which will make Idari 1 launch like a rocket. This is a very powerful thing, and holy, it's going to be a very fun combination for that encloser player that likes Idari 1, because she also gets access to Enroaching Shadow. Enroaching Shadow, alongside Innate Experience, makes her a very good encloser for long distance tracks. And also on Mile, she actually also can work well with Enroaching Shadow. Her unique skill, let's go over her very quickly since I have forgot to talk about it. She has a precondition where pretty much based on how many times she has overtaken somebody, she will get a stronger effect after 1 second going into the last straight. This is a very powerful effect, and what it is that if you have been like at the back and then you proc like direct strike and then you proc an encloser skill and then like you overtake some people on the final straight, you get 0.438 target speed increase. This is very powerful, and especially if we combine it with the Innate Experience and you get the full effect, you are over a like 1.038 target speed increase. It's a very strong effect, and Inari 1 is very effective in long and again in Mile 2. As for the other character, ironically, it's Mr. CB. Mr. CB is a very strong UA, especially in mile and medium long distance tracks. And she can also run Mile 2, which of course is very good. She has 10% speed, 10% stamina, and 10% width, which of course is one of the best growth rates for long distance tracks because you need stamina, you need speed, and you need width. So having 10% on all three of them is very effective. Her unique skill is going to be Lyrical Journey. What it is that if you are at a random point in the second half of the race, provided that you are in medium or a long distance track, if you are 6 or below, you get 0.25 target speed increase, and only in medium or long distance tracks, she will get an additional 0.1 target speed increase if she is at least 20 meters before first place position, which means that the lobby has to be tied together. If you have noticed, however, her unique skill is essentially the gold ship unique skill, but I think this one is better because it has a chance where you can speed carry over from this, which of course is very strong. Before we go to her skills though, I'm very sorry, I have forgot to change the icon, but that is too late for that. Anyways, this is Mr. CB. Still, it's Mr. CB. Anyways, she has Soft Step, Rainy Days, and Umastan. Umastan is very good when you have it innate. As an encloser, you don't need to farm for that. And of course, she has Enroaching Shadow. Enroaching Shadow is very fire. And Enroaching Shadow is very good for long. And she is also very good for long. And then she has a skill called Beautiful Form. I do not know why it's named like that, but that is a cool name, I guess. pretty much if you are in a medium or a long distance track, at a random point in the third corner, if you are fifth or below, you will get 3 seconds of current speed increase. If you are only watching the video for the enclosure portion, current speed increase is something that will instantly put you to your next top speed, and then when it goes away, it will instantly put you back to your original speed value. This is very strong because it actually helps you overtake more people or like launch very far ahead very effectively. So again, this is very good skill to have, and I will recommend it. And Mr. CB is also very good Uma. Daiichi Ruby, I already talked about her for the late surger portion. She is a card that you can use on one limit break, but I think it's better for end closers compared to late surgers, simply because of the fact that they are further behind than late surgers for the most part, and her unique skill is lightning surge, which is on a sprint and a mile. If you have an overtake target, provided that you are in the late race and you are 5th or below, you get 2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration, which is very effective, and this is a good skill for enclosers, I think, at least for the most part. Then we actually have a very special banner. That is going to be Stamina Special Week and the Wet Sweep Tosho card. However, before we go more in depth about this banner, you are probably only pulling for Special Week Stamina. The other card is very niche, and her unique gold skill is very questionable at best. It's not a reliable acceleration, but I will go over there once I go there. Anyways, Special Week is a very interesting card because she doesn't have that much friendship bonus, but as you can tell, she is focusing on the chaining effectiveness aspect. Her specialty priority is only 35, and her unique effect is very interesting because if you are participating in a friendship trading, you are essentially just going to get 60 mood effect. At great mood, this is 12% the trading effectiveness. So you essentially, at great mood, at maximum break, she has 22 trading effectiveness. This is very strong, especially it has a roamer, and this is essentially your roamer card. And she also comes in with a skill point bonus, which of course is very fire. At maximum break, she gets an additional hit level, but it's not really that big of a deal. As for her skills, she has left-handed, she has standard distance, extra attack, soft step, home stretch haste, up tempo, all I have got, and feature act. All of these skills are either medium or long, which of course is very good, and standard distance is very good, so is left-handed. She also comes access with Fighting Spirit, which is a late surger exclusive skill, where if you are between 4th to 7th place position, I believe if you are blocked by either side, you recover some of your stamina and you get target speed increase, which of course is very good. And of course, she has Nimble Navigator. For the gold skill, it's going to be No Stopping Me. Why do I recommend you pulling on this card? Sometimes for egg closers, in a mild, in a medium distance track, for example, what is your reliable acceleration? There is none. Unfortunately, that means that you will probably have to pull for this card or you borrow this card. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting card for pretty much egg closers, and I will recommend it if you are more so on the spender side and not free to play, because the next card is going to be very questionable when we talk about it. Sweep Tosho SSR Wit is, I think, a decent card overall when it comes to training. It's not great at trading because she only has 30 mood effect, which equates to 6% trading effectiveness, but she has 30% friendship bonus. She has 2 wit bonus. She also comes in with very high specialty priority. Once your bond gauge is 80, you actually get 40 specialty priority. And she gets a skill point bonus at 1 level break. However, unfortunately, this card is max level break. Her skills are a lot. She has after school stroll, she has egg closer straightaways, she has sushi, break it out, sharp steps, which is going to be the skill that we'll talk about soon. I can see right through you. I do not know why you would want to have this skill, but if you want extra rating, I guess you can pull that skill. Trick Rear, of course, is a nice debuffing skill, and Murmur is Murmur. The reason why I think this card is a questionable card is because of her unique skill. Razor Sharp Steps. What it is, it has a precondition. If you have been 5th or worse from the start of the race all the way until 66% of the race, provided that you have not been rushed, you as an egg closer in the first half of the late game, you will get a 1.2 second for 0.4 acceleration. This is very similar to Cheerleader Kigihilo. I do not know if this skill is very worth it. It's going to be not very consistent, because if the lobby is mostly focused on egg closers, then your egg closer could push over 5th and you don't get anything. If you are, let's say, on a front heavy lobby, then you can proc this skill very comfortably. However, like, it's a very niche skill that I would not heavily rely on for egg closers for the most part. But again, sometimes some maps you do not have any acceleration, so you just pick this and hope for the best. This is the overall evaluation that I will bring up pretty much. You have Mr. CB, the rerun of Mr. CB and Super Quick at SSR. If you are an encloser player, I highly recommend you try to go at least for the, not at least, you should probably maximum break Mr. CB at that point, because one limit break Mr. CB does not cut it when it comes to win generation. She is much weaker compared to max limit break version. And also, Direct Strike is a very powerful skill, and you want to use a card to its fullest potential. So I would highly recommend you maximum make your Mr. CB there, alongside your Super Quick if you are not looking towards borrowing like a Super Quick and just want to borrow Ancestors Grandmasters. I think it's a decent value if you have pulled on the Special Weak Stamina and Sweep Tusha Wet. However, the Sweep Tusha Wet is like more on the questionable side because of her gold skill. But again, it's very lobby dependent, so it's not going to be the most consistent gold skill. The Ichi Ruby is very good card for what its cost. You don't need to pull for it, but again, for its cost and you want to borrow the Ancestors card, then you might want to at least go for one limit break on the Ichi Ruby power. And then we have Idari 1 and Tamomo Cross. It's at R because the Tamomo Cross and Idari 1, they are more on the niche side, and aces in general do not have the same value as cards. But again, if they are your Oshi, then you can run them, which of course is something that I will heavily advertise towards, and it's something that you will probably enjoy doing the most of. And that is it. That's pretty much it. This video is very long. It has timestamps, which of course is going to be nice. I hope you enjoyed this. This took me a lot of times. I had exams, I had a lot of stuff to do, so I was not able to make a video in general for like 2 weeks straight. So that sucks. But anyways, if you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server, link it in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.